before the throne. On its right is paradise, and on that side is the pan of light, and on its left is the hellfire, the pan of darkness being on that side. The Mutaziliha have rejected and disbelieved in the balance. They said deeds do not have an essence. They do not have a physical reality, so how can they be weighed? Said, it has been related from Ibn Abbas that Allah will create those matters of no physical essence, deeds into bodies, and they will be weighed. Said, and the correct view is that the books of deeds will be weighed. We have already mentioned that which proves the first and second of his points, and that the doer himself will be weighed. Mujahid and Al-Amash related that the balance here is the justice and the judgment, and the mention of the weight and the balance are a kind of example, just as it is said, this speech has such and such weight. Perhaps they gave that interpretation as they were explaining and interpreting the saying of Allah. And the heaven he has raised it high, and he has set up the balance, in order that you may not transgress due balance, and observe the weight with equity, and do not make the balance deficient. Here, and he has set up the balance means justice. Allah ordered his slaves to deal with justice in their dealings with one another. As for the balance that is mentioned to weight the worth of deeds, there are mutawatir narrations concerning it, as you have seen, and the meaning of that balance is clear from the Quran. And those whose scales of good deeds are heavy, and those whose scales of good deeds are light, this can only refer to something that is tangible. On the day of resurrection, the balance is not for every single individual. The balance is a reality, though it is not applicable to every person, which is proven by the saying of Allah. The mujrimun, polytheism, criminals, sinners will be known by their marks, black faces, and they will be seized by their forelocks, and their feet. And the Prophet said, Allah will say, O Muhammad, admit into paradise from your nation he who has no hisab taking of accounts upon him from the al-Bab al-Aymin, the right door. And they, this category of people, are partners with the people in the other doors of paradise. And the Ahadeeth about the 70,000 who will enter paradise without al-Hisab being called upon for accountability are mutawatir. This necessitates, however, that their deeds will not be weighed, and this requires further study, and Allah knows best. The happy, successful ones may have their deeds weighed, even though their good deeds outweigh the bad ones, and that is to demonstrate their honor before all who are present, and to give a kind of tribute to their happiness and to their being saved. As for the disbelievers, their deeds will be weighed even if they have no good deeds to help them. To be in contrast with their disbelief, and that is to demonstrate their wretchedness and to expose them in front of all created beings. It is related in a hadith that Allah does not wrong anyone even for a single good deed. As for the disbeliever, He feeds him for his good deeds in the world until he comes to Allah without having a good deed remaining that he should be rewarded for. Chose the view that a disbeliever may come with an act of charity or an act of joining ties with relatives so that his punishment is lightened for him. He mentioned the case of Abu Talib, for he is placed in a shallow part of the